Imagine returning to your home after 3 agonizing years, expecting to find over 100 friends, family members, and children waiting for you. Instead, you find only silence. The doors are open. The houses are dismantled. The fortifications are torn down. There are no signs of a struggle, no blood, no bodies, and no warning. It is a bustling colonial town, utterly empty and abandoned. The only clue left behind? A single, chilling word carved deep into a sturdy wooden palisade post: CROATOAN. In 1590, the English settlers of the Roanoke colony, 117 people, including the first English child born in the New World, Virginia Dare, vanished without a trace. Their disappearance remains the oldest and most compelling mystery embedded in American history. The question is simple, but the answer is locked in 435 years of silence. Did the settlers relocate and assimilate with local Native American tribes, or did they perish violently, leaving only that cryptic message behind? Today, we launch a full investigation into the lost colony of Roanoke. We will break down the crucial clues left at the site, examine the political failure that doomed their resupply, and confront the modern archaeological evidence that proves the colonists moved inland, but never made it home. This is the story of the first permanent English settlement in America, which became America's first unsolved cold case. The story of Roanoke begins not with disappearance, but with ambition. In 1587, the English sought to establish their first permanent foothold in the New World, aiming to disrupt the Spanish claim on the North American continent. The colonization attempt was expensive, costing Sir Walter Raleigh approximately £30,000, equivalent to millions today, a sum that stretched the limits of his personal fortune. The group consisted of 117 settlers, 89 men, 17 women, and 11 children. They were not hardened soldiers, but families determined to build a new life in the territory Raleigh named Virginia. The initial plan was for this group to settle further north in the Chesapeake Bay area, which offered a superior harbor and fertile land. However, the captain of their fleet, Simon Fernandez, refused to take them further than Roanoke Island, citing the late season and forcing the settlers to occupy the site of a disastrous earlier military outpost. This initial failure was compounded by poor planning. The settlers were ill-prepared for life in the New World. Their lack of reliable food sources and rising tensions with the local Secotine indigenous tribes turned dangerous. Despite the chaos, the colony achieved a moment of profound success just 1 month after landing. The birth of Virginia Dare on August 18, 1587, the first English child born on North American soil. Her existence immediately symbolized the entire urgent purpose of the colony: to establish a permanent English future. Governor John White, Virginia Dare's grandfather, knew he had to return to England immediately to secure vital supplies and reinforcements. He reluctantly left the 117 colonists behind, promising to return the following spring. The year was 1588. When John White reached England, he was trapped by history. Spain's massive armada was mobilizing to invade England, triggering a complete mobilization of the English Navy. Queen Elizabeth I immediately prohibited all ships from leaving port for any purpose other than national defense. White was stranded. His promise to return the following spring stretched into 3 agonizing years. Every attempt he made to sail back was blocked, delayed, or sabotaged by English privateers more interested in capturing Spanish ships for profit than resupplying a distant struggling colony. It wasn't until August 1590 that John White finally secured passage on a privateering ship and returned to Roanoke Island. When John White's ship finally arrived in 1590, 3 years late, the relief quickly turned to dread. His diary records that upon approaching the shore, he saw great smoke rising from the island, which filled them with hope that the colonists were waiting for them. That hope was instantly crushed. The initial signs were ominous. The settlement was utterly silent. No dogs barked. As White and his crew stepped ashore, they found a ghost town. The houses and residences had been completely dismantled. Nothing was left standing except for the larger wooden fortifications and storage areas. Critically, there was no sign of a struggle, no blood, and no bodies. The complete absence of evidence for a massacre or violent resistance was immediately baffling. White knew he had to look for a sign. Before he left 3 years earlier, he had established a precise system of communication with the settlers. If they were forced to leave the settlement, they were to carve the name of their new destination into a nearby post. If they left due to distress, threat, or attack, they were to carve a sign, specifically a Maltese cross, above the name. White searched frantically. He did not find the Maltese cross. Instead, he found 2 key messages carved into wooden posts. Carved into a gatepost, he found the letters C-R-O. Carved into a massive palisade post near the entrance of the village was the single powerful word, C-R-O-A-T-O-A-N. John White immediately concluded that the colonists were not murdered in place. He theorized that they had moved south to CROATOAN Island, now Hatteras Island, the home of the friendly CROATOAN tribe, whose leader, Manteo, was an ally of the English. The absence of the distress signal, the Maltese cross, suggested a planned, non-emergency relocation. White and his crew attempted to sail south to CROATOAN Island to retrieve the settlers, but they were thwarted by dangerous storms and strong winds that damaged the ship and depleted their remaining supplies. The captain, fearing the loss of his own vessel, refused to proceed. John White was forced to return to England, leaving the colonists' fate unresolved. He never returned to America, and the mystery of the 117 settlers, including his granddaughter Virginia Dare, was cemented in history. For centuries, the mystery of Roanoke has been divided into 2 competing historical theories: the optimistic thesis, assimilation, and the darker antithesis, annihilation. The single word CROATOAN is the greatest clue and the greatest deception, as it supports both arguments. The dominant and most hopeful theory is that the colonists relocated and integrated into local native groups. The intent, before White left, the colonists agreed they would split into 2 groups, with one group heading inland to establish a better, more permanent settlement, while a small group stayed behind. The message CROATOAN likely meant they first stopped at the friendly island before moving further inland, possibly to the Chesapeake Bay area. Historical rumors. As late as the early 1600s, the settlers at Jamestown had heard rumors suggesting some Roanoke colonists survived. William Strachey, the Virginia colony's secretary, recorded accounts that 4 armored Englishmen were living near the Chesapeake Bay. Genetic uncertainty. Modern DNA research has attempted to find English or European mitochondrial DNA in the descendants of the CROATOAN tribe, now known as the Lumbee tribe, who live in Robeson County, North Carolina. To date, however, these genetic results remain inconclusive and cannot definitively prove direct descent. The counter-theory argues that the colonists never successfully relocated and instead perished violently. Massacre theory. Rumors persisted among the Jamestown settlers that the paramount chief Powhatan had ordered the colonists killed, fearing the English settlers might join the new Jamestown arrivals and pose too great a threat. Spanish interest. The Spanish actively searched for the English colony to destroy it, fearing English encroachment on their valuable territory. In 1588, Spanish Captain Vicente Gonzalez searched the area, but found no English people. The Spanish found evidence of a boat slip near Roanoke Island, but the lack of any sign of a massive Spanish attack in 1590 suggests they were not the primary cause of the disappearance. Natural causes. The colonists may have been overwhelmed by a severe storm, hurricane, or starved during a harsh winter, forcing them to dismantle their houses for materials, like wood for fires, before attempting a desperate, fatal journey inland. The fact that the houses were meticulously dismantled, suggesting planned reuse of materials, points away from a sudden attack and toward a calculated, if desperate, move. In the centuries following John White's fateful return, the mystery of Roanoke inspired countless searches, hoaxes, and historical inquiries. The most notorious attempt to solve the mystery came in the 1930s with the discovery of the Dare stones. These were 48 inscribed stones allegedly found across the Southeast that claimed Virginia Dare and others had survived, only to be murdered years later. Historical and forensic analysis proved that almost all of the stones were a complete hoax, perpetrated by a local stonecutter who saw an opportunity for profit. This deliberate fabrication severely damaged the reputation of Roanoke archaeology for decades. Modern archaeology, using advanced techniques like ground-penetrating radar and minute artifact analysis, has yielded genuine, promising clues by focusing on the possibility of a relocation event, just as John White suspected. The Hatteras Clue. Excavations on Hatteras Island, the historical CROATOAN Island, have uncovered 16th century English artifacts, including sword hilts, rapiers, pieces of slate, iron tools, and Nuremberg tokens, The presence of large copper ingots and large iron bars suggests metallurgical work by Europeans, as Native Americans lacked this technology. This strongly indicates that at least some colonists survived, relocated to the friendly CROATOAN tribe's island, and integrated into their native community. The X marks the spot. Another significant find relates to John White's own map, the Virginia Pars map. In 2012, curators at the British Museum discovered a small, faint mark on the map, a small four-pointed star, or X, that had been covered up by a small patch of paper. Recent analysis suggests this X may have marked the precise location where the colonists intended to relocate inland, possibly at the confluence of the Roanoke and Chowan rivers. This modern evidence points away from a sudden, violent massacre at the original fort site and toward a planned, if desperate, migration inland, where the trails simply went cold and the settlers were absorbed by the native world. The lost colony of Roanoke is more than a historical puzzle. It is an enduring American tragedy about failed promises and the perilous cost of migration. The story of 117 people, including a baby named Virginia Dare, left suspended in time by the outbreak of the Spanish Armada. The most probable conclusion, supported by modern archaeological evidence, is that the colonists, desperate and low on supplies, migrated first to the friendly CROATOAN tribe and later moved further inland as planned, where they eventually integrated. The fate of Virginia Dare and the others was not a sudden, dramatic annihilation, but a slow, quiet assimilation, a process that erased their English identity and absorbed them into the native world. Their story became a silent testament to the resilience of both English ambition and native survival. The word CROATOAN remains the most profound message in American archaeology, a note of hope that due to poor weather and the crippling delay of war, was never fully followed up on. John White died believing his family was still alive, lost somewhere in the vast American wilderness. The mystery remains unsolved, not because the colonists vanished without a trace, but because they vanished into America, becoming part of the landscape and the native societies that history was only just beginning to write. The disappearance of Roanoke is one of history's most tragic cold cases. Was the relocation a brilliant plan that failed, or was it a desperate last resort? Let us know your verdict in the comments below. Your comment helps us fuel the debate and reach more history enthusiasts. And if you are ready to pivot from this vanishing act to a moral paradox, make sure you subscribe now. Our next investigation is already scheduled: the blood-soaked legacy of John Brown, the abolitionist who became a terrorist. The mystery remains. And perhaps, in the end, that's exactly how it should be. The lost colony of Roanoke endures as a silent monument to the promise of the New World and the heavy cost of those who dared to be first.